Eastern Europe is the region of the European continent between Western Europe and Asia. There is no consistent definition of the precise area it covers, partly because the term has a wide range of geopolitical, geographical, ethnic, cultural, and socio-economic connotations. Russia, located in Eastern Europe, is both the largest and most populous country of Europe, spanning roughly 40% of the continent's total landmass, with over 15% of its total population. According to the Center for Educational Technologies at Wheeling Jesuit University, there are almost as many definitions of Eastern Europe as there are scholars of the region. A related United Nations paper adds that every assessment of spatial identities is essentially a social and cultural construct. One definition describes Eastern Europe as a cultural entity, the region lying in Europe with the main characteristics consisting of Slavic, Greek, Byzantine, Eastern Orthodox, and some Ottoman cultural influences. Another definition was created during the Cold War and used more or less alike with the term Eastern Bloc. A similar definition names the formerly communist European states outside the Soviet Union as Eastern Europe. Such definitions are often seen as outdated, but they are still sometimes used for statistical purposes. Several definitions of Eastern Europe exist today, but they often lack precision, are too general, or are outdated. These definitions are debated across cultures and among experts, even political scientists, as the term has a wide range of geopolitical, geographical, cultural, and socio-economic connotations. It has also been described as a fuzzy term, as the idea itself of Eastern Europe is in constant redefinition. The solidification of the idea of an Eastern Europe dates back chiefly to the Enlightenment. There are almost as many definitions of Eastern Europe as there are scholars of the region. A related United Nations paper adds that every assessment of spatial identities is essentially a social and cultural construct. While the eastern geographical boundaries of Europe are well defined, the boundary between Eastern and Western Europe is not geographical but historical, religious and cultural, and is harder to designate. The Ural Mountains, Ural River, and the Caucasus Mountains are the geographical land border of the eastern edge of Europe, e.g. Kazakhstan, which is mainly located in Central Asia with the most western parts of it located west of the Ural River, also shares a part of Eastern Europe. In the West, however, the historical and cultural boundaries of Eastern Europe are subject to some overlap and, most importantly, have undergone historical fluctuations, which makes a precise definition of the Western geographic boundaries of Eastern Europe and the geographical midpoint of Europe somewhat difficult. The East-West schism divided Christianity in Europe into Western Christianity and Eastern Christianity. Western Europe, according to this point of view, is formed by countries with dominant Roman Catholic and Protestant churches. Eastern Europe is formed by countries with dominant Orthodox churches, like Armenia, Belarus, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Georgia, Greece, Moldova, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Romania, Russia, Serbia, and Ukraine. For instance, the Eastern Orthodox Church has played a prominent role in the history and culture of Eastern and Southeastern Europe. The schism is the break of communion and theology between what are now the Eastern and Western churches. This division dominated Europe for centuries, in opposition to the rather short-lived Cold War division of 4 decades. Expansion of Christianity religious division in 1054. Since the Great Schism of 1054, Europe has been divided between Roman Catholic churches in the West and the Eastern Orthodox Christian churches in the East. Due to this religious cleavage, Eastern Orthodox countries are often associated with Eastern Europe. A cleavage of this sort is, however, often problematic. For example, Greece is overwhelmingly Orthodox, but is very rarely included in Eastern Europe, for a variety of reasons. The most prominent being that Greece's history, for the most part, was more influenced by Mediterranean cultures and contact. The fall of the Iron Curtain brought the end of the Cold War East-West division in Europe. But this geopolitical concept is sometimes still used for quick reference by the media. Another definition was used during the 40 years of Cold War between 1947 and 1989, and was more or less synonymous with the terms Eastern Bloc and Warsaw Pact. A similar definition names the formerly communist European states outside the Soviet Union as Eastern Europe. Historians and social scientists generally view such definitions as outdated or relegated. Eurovoc, a multilingual thesaurus maintained by the Publications Office of the European Union, has entries for 23 EU languages, classifying Bulgarian, Croatian, Czech, Hungarian, Polish, Romania,